Hey kids, welcome to the Fuzzy Loaf podcast, where two dorks talk about the latest happenings in comics, movies, and other news and pop culture. I am Scott. With me, as always, is Matt. Say hi, Matt.
Hate.
And just a quick announcement first: we are doing audio only this week because we've been having video problems. So until we get the video stuff figured out, we're just gonna do audio. I mean, you don't need to look at our dumb faces anyway.
Yeah.
So,
It's not like we have cool graphics or anything.
no.
Except for the one that's up on screen right
Yeah,
now.
the one that Matt put a couple minutes into.
Yeah.
And I drew a crude. He asked me what the thumbnail should be, and I just drew a crude thing on my phone. I was like, something like this. So let's just get into it. What of our three main topics do you want to talk about first?
Let's knock out the Star Wars news really
Do
quick.
that little bit of Star Wars
Yeah.
news. So there was if you didn't see, which I mean, you probably did. It was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
The little Instagram 15-second thing that Star Wars put out, which was all footage we had seen before, except for like the last half a second that showed Finn in a snowy forest, like Kylo Ren, igniting a blue lightsaber, and that got everyone just crazy. And I mean, I'll admit, it did for me too.
Yeah. I remember earlier this week, there was like multiple stories saying like there has to be a trailer coming out for Star Wars in the next week or so. So I hope that we do see a trailer and it shows off more of this footage to give us more context to the situation. But Disney and Disney, who oversees like Marvel and Star Wars, is really good at making these trailers that make you think these scenes are connected, but they could be two very different scenes. So you
We've
might
seen that a lot with the Avengers in trailers and stuff.
They lead you to believe, oh, this is what's going on, but really it's something else. So it could be that. Especially too because J.J. Abrams, I swear, came out and said that Kylo Ren isn't necessarily Sith.
He's not a Sith.
Yeah, he's not.
He's a knight of. He's of the dark side.
Yeah.
But he is not a Sith. That's why he doesn't have like a Darth in his name, or anything like that.
And he's under Supreme Leader Snoke or whatever.
He's
which
probably Darth Plagueis because I didn't know much about Star. I've always been like a casual Star Wars fan until this movie started coming out. I was like, I want to get in more into Star Wars. I've just been more and more excited for it because my interest in Star Wars started with the action figures.
Yeah.
Actually, as a kid, I loved Star Wars action figures, and I still collect them. And trust me, I'm getting ready for Friday. I'm setting an alarm. I'm getting up early. I'm going to the Target or Walmart by my house, whatever I think will be a better place to go. And I'm stocking up on figures. I'm gonna buy like maybe $100 worth, and just like keep them or resell them because they're gonna sell out fast.
Yeah, they are.
Anyway, back to the topic. And, like, I didn't know much about Star Wars, so I started watching Jedi Council every week. Started learning more and more about it, and from the information that I've gathered from the internet, I am on the side that Supreme Leader Snoke is going to be Darth Plagueis.
Okay. I don't know who Darth Plagueis is. I'm not that big of a.
He was mentioned in episode one of the prequels.
Okay.
About being so strong in the dark side of the Force that he was able to cheat death itself.
Okay.
And he would be a CGI or a motion capture character because he's not a human, he's an alien. And he does carry like a really big long staff. And if you've seen the picture that Andy Serkis put up on Twitter, it shows him in mocap holding a really big staff. And
Yeah, it's believable that he is Darth Plagueis, or that Supreme Leader Snoke is Darth Plagueis, just like
Emperor Palpatine was Darth Sidious.
Yeah. Although I'd hope they'd go a different route and not do another, because unless he's leading the new, whatever they are,
First Order.
Yeah, unless he's leading the new First Order and just secretly also the evil Jedi or evil Sith Lord, then it's going to be kind of boring if he's Supreme Leader and pretending to be a good guy, but is secretly the bad guy.
Well, I don't think that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The thing is, though, the next trailer, which I think we might get on Friday.
Yeah,
because
that's what a lot
Force
of people
Friday,
are saying. Yeah,
but we'll see. I think the next trailer has to give some plot points to this movie. Has to give us kind of basically a synopsis of what's going to happen. Because as of right now, we know nothing. From the two teasers we've gotten, it's just been a collection of scenes. There's been no telling us what. We have no clue of actually what is happening in the movie.
and that's where it's like we have a bunch of characters. We have a bunch of old characters. We have a bunch of new characters. We have a bunch of changes. So like the First Order or the Stormtroopers and the Empire is now the First Order, and the Rebels are now the Resistance. We have all these changes, but we don't really know what's going on or like what's going to happen. We have no
synopsis or like log line for what the hell the movie is.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are making speculations. It looks like they're collecting Sith memorabilia, if you want to call it that, or artifacts.
I heard that the Knights of Ren are like Darth Vader groupies.
Yeah,
like they're like uber fans of Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm. And I know they like didn't make any of this canon, but there was some games that took place after Episode 6.
There's a lot to
Jedi Knights of not Knights of the Old Republic. I can't remember.
That takes like 3,000 years.
Yeah, there was a series that took place afterwards though, and they did a similar thing where Luke is trying to build up the new like Jedi Order, but there's also a Sith force that's collecting like old artifacts and trying to.
They are borrowing a lot from the Legends canon and remodeling it.
Which I think it's good because they have control over what they're going to put in and what they can keep, but they also have a whole bed of like really good ideas from other authors and like video game creators and whatever else.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information from this. Like, why not take from what you can? Yeah, take the good stuff.
But I'm really curious. I'm still kind of wary just because the prequels, like, it didn't. I won't say it burned me so bad.
I grew up with the prequels. Yeah. Well, so I never really had the huge disdain for them. Like, I recognize that they're not good movies because I don't enjoy them that much. And watching them sometimes is a chore when you're doing a marathon. You're like, oh, God damn it. But, I mean.
See, and my dad was a really big Star Wars fan, like the original trilogy when they came out. So we had them on VHS growing up. I saw the original trilogy like from the time I was born, basically.
See, I never had that exposure.
Over and over again.
My parents never exposed me to anything.
Yeah,
I didn't watch any movie. They never took me to movies really.
I saw way too many rated R movies.
No, I didn't start. I had to get into everything that I like now when I was older. Yeah, because I didn't get that like pre-exposed.
But like even my dad, who is like a Star Wars fan from the original trilogy, and like my brother, who is a little bit older than me, so he also grew up with watching the original trilogy. Even us, when we saw the prequels, we had the blinders on. It was like, yeah, more Star Wars, and then it's like after a while, you're like, these movies are bad. Like they ruined a lot of things, and I'm just wary of what's going forwards. Like I'm seeing a lot of good things that I think I'm gonna like, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Yeah,
But
you don't want to get overhyped. Every time you get overhyped, then it's like, and you feel let down. I think that was the big thing with Age of Ultron. People got way too overhyped for it, and then they kind of feel let down. Like I was pretty hyped for it. And I still enjoyed the movie, but I understand it wasn't like. It was a movie. It wasn't super great. It was. No. I liked it. I had fun.
Yeah.
But some people walked out saying it was bad because I think they might have been too overhyped for the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem that Marvel is going to have to deal with, and now Star Wars going forwards with all these movies is they made Iron Man, which nobody expected to be good, and it was good. Then they made a few more movies that were okay, and then they made Avengers, which was fantastic. It was like the first great
they've set
superhero
their standard
movie.
Here.
Yeah.
And now every time they don't quite get to that standard, people's perception of the movie is less than what it really should be.
Because they build up hype. So now they're comparing everything to Avengers 1, which was a really magical moment where we had, the first good superhero team up that we've seen in a movie. You know, we had these characters that were built up over a couple of movies, and it was they were good movies, or some of them were good movies, but they were characters that people started to care about, and then they got together, and it was a great movie.
Yeah. They
that's why I think
that's the thing with Age of Ultron is like people's expectations were so high, so it was getting negative reviews that it didn't deserve.
Yeah.
Because people expected so much more out of it. Where it's like it didn't deserve a negative review. It deserved a positive.
Yeah, and I think that's the same thing with like Ant-Man. A lot of people were down on Ant-Man because I think Guardians of the Galaxy was a movie everybody expected to bomb and expected to be terrible. Like I remember,
how they expected that to bomb.
I don't know. Everybody saw the trailers and was like, "This looks stupid," and it's like it's a comedy that is like
space
sci-fi
action
space.
comedy.
Yeah,
Like, it's everything you want in a movie.
but so after that one came out, people I think started to get more expectations for Ant-Man. Where I think Ant-Man was another great Marvel movie.
It's a movie. There are some
There's issues, but there's
in
issues with every
hindsight,
single.
You know, when people point, like I walked out of Ant-Man being like, I really like that. And people started pointing things out to me. It's like, yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That's another good point.
But
I still enjoyed the movie when I saw it.
You can still
so.
you can poke holes
Still-
in any movie.
it still gets
that
a
you
positive
see. Yeah,
review.
you can poke holes in any movie that you see.
Yeah.
Like even Christopher Nolan movies that everybody are famous for, like holding up on a
Love
pedestal.
just blowing Christopher
Yeah,
Nolan.
but it's like he makes great movies, and I
does.
enjoy it. I enjoy all like
Prestige is one of my
almost
favorite
all of them.
movies.
And but it's like every movie can be poked holes. So you just need to come out. Was it entertaining? Did you enjoy your time with it?
Yeah.
Then it's a good movie.
That's exactly my thoughts too. People, that was like another thing with the Age of Ultron. I was reading these reviews and it was like, this was awesome, this was awesome, this was awesome, this was awesome. Negative review. And you're like, but what?
Yeah, and it's like I get if you're taking like if you're a filmmaker and you're looking at these things and you're looking for the issues in the movie, then fine, discuss the issues. Or if you want to get into more like from a director standpoint or like a film theory standpoint, yeah, then talk about the negatives. But it wasn't a bad movie. It was a good movie. It had bad parts, just like every other movie has. Yeah. But anyways, I don't know how we got on that topic. Star Wars.
That's that's what I like about doing this though.
Yeah,
with kind of our new formula too is let's just go off on some tangents
Yeah.
and see if people still listen to what we have to say. We started with Finn igniting a 5-second clip of Finn igniting a lightsaber, and now we got on to, Age of Ultron wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Oh well. Well, I guess sticking with the Marvel stuff.
Yeah. Let us know. What do you think about Age of Ultron?
No. Yeah.
Okay, so this is all Marvel stuff.
Yeah, I
really,
guess it's all Disney stuff this week, basically.
Yeah, there's nothing really other interesting that we want to talk about.
I don't even know if there's any DC
that's worth
news.
going into real detail.
Yeah.
There was the Flash casting of Violet Bean as Jesse Chambers.
There was also a new Flash season 2 poster that showed off what looks like a new Flash costume.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw
But
it.
I mean, it's all stuff that's like we just covered in that 1-second bit. There's not enough information to go into too much detail about or speculation about. So
yeah. Civil War next, or
yeah, we'll save the top story for the end.
For the end.
So there were some pictures released that we don't have, obviously, because this is audio only.
I could have pulled them up. I might.
You want to pull them up so we can at least get a look at them? Or talk about them?
Jeremy Renner posted them, right?
Yeah. So we had Jeremy Renner tweeted out some concept art pictures of Civil War, which look freaking cool. There's one poster that shows both sides going at it, Captain America's side and Iron Man's side, which looks pretty sweet if you ask me.
Yeah.
And there were also two other posters, which Captain America with a blue background with his team in a lineup, and then Iron Man with a red background with his team in a lineup. Excuse me.
So what do you think of these teams? I know a lot of people were saying that Iron Man has the unfair advantage, and I think I agree.
He does.
But
his lineup makes sense. Obviously, Rhodey's going to be on his team. Vision is going to be on his team too. Mm-hmm.
Black Panther, it makes sense. Especially, I really think they're going forward with I don't know if they're going to call it the Illuminati, but I think that's ultimately where we're heading with.
In some form, maybe after Thanos is defeated, the Infinity Gems get split among the different.
I think
people.
that would make sense with putting Robert Downey Jr. in the background, not being a lead of the
only thing
team.
with the Illuminati is they only have access to two characters in the Illuminati: Black Panther and Iron Man.
Yeah,
and Doctor Strange.
They could make it work. Yeah.
Oh, and Black Bolt. So they have 4.
Yeah.
They don't have. Mr. Fantastic.
They don't have Reed Richards.
They'd have to find someone else to fill those roles.
Yeah.
Maybe Cap would fill one, and
no, I don't think Cap would.
I
really don't think Cap would, because
he'd be against splitting up the gems like that.
I think he'd be against the
idea of he was part in the comics at one point, but they ended up having to mind wipe him because he didn't agree with what they were doing.
Because they're willing to do. They're willing to go across the line.
That's the whole point
for the protection of humanity.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately what I keep thinking every time I see. The more we see from all this stuff is
that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But now, what do you think of So let's just run through these lineups real quick here, and then we'll talk about what we think of them. First up, because we got Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
We've got War Machine,
Yep.
Black Widow,
Yep.
Iron Man himself, Black Panther, and the Vision. Do you want to talk about that first before we go into
Sure.
the Cap's team?
So this is really interesting because I assumed that Vision and Black Widow would be on Cap's team.
Well, I assumed Vision would be on Iron Man's, but I thought Black Widow would be on Cap's team.
But here's the reason why is because at the end of Age of Ultron, spoilers if you haven't seen Age of Ultron yet, but you probably should have, especially if you're seeing this and you've been warned now. We see the new Avengers team, or whatever you want to call it, with Cap and Scarlet Witch and Black Widow and is Falcon on it?
Falcon,
Yep.
and Vision.
And Vision. War Machine isn't on it though, right?
He is, yep.
He is? Okay.
Because Iron Man left.
Yeah. Okay. So we see this team. So obviously something's gonna happen.
That
Like
splits
what?
the team.
What splits the team? Is it?
Probably the same event, or the fact that the two ideologies, people from the team will be like, I agree with Tony, well I agree with Cap, and they just
Yeah, that's true. That could
different
work. I think it's gonna have something to do with the Winter Soldier too,
oh that could be too.
because we saw Falcon and Captain America at the end of, once again, spoilers. Kind of.
You know, we should always preface every
This is spoilers.
episode with spoilers because
Yeah.
I mean
Spoilers for Ant-Man.
if you are listening to us, you're got to be a pretty dedicated nerd,
Yeah.
so you're going to be into this.
Yeah, hopefully. But anyways, so at the end, at the final credit scene, right? Or was it the mid credit scene?
It was the end credits.
Yeah, it was the end credit scene,
Post-credits.
or the post credit scene for Ant-Man. We saw Captain America and Falcon. I always want to call him Captain Falcon from now on. But we saw them, and we saw the Winter Soldier with his arm stuck in some
Vice.
contraption. And they alluded that they were going to bring Ant-Man in to help the situation somehow, to get his arm out to help them escape. I don't really know the situation that they're in currently. But I think it's going to have something to do with that. But also, well, I guess we should move on to the next team. I forgot.
Okay, yeah. So basically, overall for Iron Man, we're kind of surprised that Black Widow is on Iron Man's team.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do a rundown of Cap's team. We've got starting with Ant-Man. You can see on the picture on Hawkeye's shoulder,
Which is weird.
really makes me hope we're gonna get that classic cover that shows Ant-Man on one of Hawkeye's arrows, and he shoots the arrow with Ant-Man
Yeah.
on it, because that's like a classic move that those two do, which I hope we get to see. Agent 13, Sharon Carter.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, that's interesting to see her on.
Well, and I remember
But
them announcing that she was going to be in this
yeah,
movie, and
I
it's
hope
like,
she gets a bigger role in this movie.
it looks like it. If she's on the poster for the two teams, then
She's got to be.
yeah.
Cap. We have a Falcon with his Redbird drone,
Yeah.
who was supposed to be Red Wing. Sorry, that was the name of his bird, Red Wing, who he communicated with telepathically.
Doesn't make sense in this.
It doesn't make
version.
sense in this
Yeah.
version. So he's a drone that pops out of his bed. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we have Winter Soldier, which seems to be deprogrammed, and now he's on Cap's team, working with his buddy Cap again.
So notably missing is the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, where is she? What happened?
Yeah. Do you think she's going to be killed off in the beginning of the movie?
I hope not. That'd be really stupid.
Yeah, it'd be.
She's a good character. Excuse me, that they could develop for a long time.
Yeah.
And I would like to see her get developed for a long time. You can't kill off one of your only two female characters.
Yeah, and not to mention, she is arguably one of the most powerful, maybe besides Vision.
I think that's why she's caught. I think she's caught in the middle. That's what the thing is.
Yeah.
There's going to be a fight over her.
So there was speculation up until these pictures came out that she was the cause of the issue that arises, that
I still think that might
the
be
government
the case.
that the government needs to be involved and say, no, we need to put in some sort of mandate where the government has to be in control of these superheroes. Then we obviously have Iron Man's team in favor of that and Captain's team against that, but we don't really know if that's exactly how it stands in the movie or if that's what they're going to do. But I still think that she's going to be the cause of some big destruction, and it could be with Baron Zemo, not Von.
That's Strucker.
Okay. Some of them have Baron, or some of them are like Von,
Yeah.
blah blah blah,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's all fucked up.
But I still think that's going to be what happens. But it's interesting that she's not on either side.
We don't see Spider-Man either.
True.
I think they'll be both kind of like caught in the middle, and they won't like. I think some of the conflict will be over Scarlet Witch and her extreme powers, because nobody on either side has powers that even come close to her abilities.
Besides, like I said, Vision, kind of. I mean, Vision is a god machine, basically.
He is. That's why I love Vision. He's so cool.
But yeah, the Spider-Man thing brings up another point. I think it was Humberto Gonzalez from Heroic Hollywood. He said that from a contact that he has in the movie, from the production of the movie, said that, spoilers, Spider-Man is going to fight Cap first and then fight Iron Man. So like
he'll go back and
he'll
forth.
go back and forth.
Yeah,
which makes sense. He's a young kid who
it's a different Spider-Man than we had in Civil War in the comics. Completely different.
He's not an adult. He's
like 15 years younger than the Spider-Man we had.
And who knows? Maybe something's gonna happen in New York, and Spider-Man's just trying to defend his turf. You know, trying to defend his neighborhood, and he's like, "Hey, why are you guys here causing destruction?"
Chill out,
that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited, and it just brings up more questions.
As excited as I am for Batman v Superman, I'm more excited for Civil War, because yes, I know it's the first time Batman and Superman have been on screen together, but because I didn't like Man of Steel, it's like my excitement for it isn't as big as it is for Civil War.
Yeah, and
I've always been more of a Marvel fan ever since I was a kid anyway. I got into DC more as I got older and started, but I love DC characters more than I like DC stories, I think. So
yeah, I'm way more excited for Civil War than I am Batman v Superman, because I still think it's going to be a stinker. I don't think it's going to be good.
You don't have any hope for it?
Not really. Not with Zack Snyder attached.
I'm skeptical.
I'm reserving judgment until we get either more trailers or get closer to the release. And I thought
Fantastic Four was going to be good based off the trailers too, and I didn't even go see them.
No, yeah. And that's my worry, is that we're going to get, it's going to be just burn after burn for DC. And this has to be really good.
Yeah, bringing it back to Fantastic Four, like as always from now on. I just read today that Fantastic Four has, in its 4th week, dropped out of the top 10.
Not surprising.
For a total of $52 million so far domestic. That's all it's made.
$100
and some $1 million budget plus all of the
marketing.
So that's like another $200 and some $1 million. It's only made 52 domestic.
That's rough, especially because typically a movie has to make twice their budget into the movie before they've even recouped costs. Yeah. So it's like, man, they've lost a lot of money on that movie.
Yeah, they did. It'll be really interesting for us to follow what happens to that in the coming months.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with Civil War? We kind of touched on it. We think the teams are imbalanced. We think Iron Man is in possession.
Right, but I don't think that's really going to be that big of a problem.
No.
It's going to be more of an ideological battle than a physical battle.
Yeah. Well, especially because they're not out to kill each other or like even necessarily harm each other. Like they just want.
Not like in the actual Civil War.
Yeah.
Let's talk about costumes a little bit there. What do you think of the bleeding edge armor on Iron Man? Because that's my favorite Iron Man armor.
I think it looks cool. Yeah. I don't have any complaints about it. I think all of the Iron Man costumes, or whatever you want to call them, suits, have been really good throughout the story. I like seeing the evolution, where he starts out with like a more basic costume or more basic suit, and then in Iron Man 2 we saw like the Iron Legion kind of, he had a bunch of different suits, and then again in 3.
I like Cap suit in this too. It looks like the most Captain America.
Yeah, I think they're getting closer and closer to, his actual suit. I like it a lot.
Well, I think the one in the first Avengers was like the closest to his like comic suit with all of the scales and all that crap, which I thought was really outdated and why they kept that suit in the comics for so long.
Yeah, that
his
suit.
suit now in the comics is different and it looks a lot. It's more Ultimates like.
This suit always reminded me of like the one with scales. Always reminds me of Aquaman's suit.
It's just very golden age.
Yeah.
And then Hawkeye, he's got a lot of purple now. I think that's a really cool suit for Hawkeye now.
Yeah, I honestly wish they would do more purple, and I can kind of understand why they. I don't know. I guess this is not indicative of what it will look like in the movie necessarily
This is
because
concept art.
yeah, this is concept
Production art.
But I hope they go with a little bit more purple because Hawkeye is. I mean, that's what he's known for, purple suit.
Yeah. I always wondered why he had a purple suit. Maybe that's just his favorite color.
Yeah, I don't know. Just it's one of those things you want to give them, like a color palette that's unique.
That's what I always thought. Whenever I've come up with my own superhero teams, you don't want to have characters on the team that all have the same color style because then it looks bland. That's the best thing about Justice League is everyone's very different colors. You got Superman with the blue and Green Lantern with the green, Aquaman with the orange, Batman with the black, Wonder Woman with the red, and you've got all these different colors that just pop out.
You can make the color scheme like also psychologically mean something to the reader.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of what they were going for with the Justice League in particular. I don't know if Marvel does it necessarily as much, but you have like Superman with the blue. Blue can mean this and that and the other thing, and it's like you see him and
color
you
is
instantly
very
think,
important in the comics medium and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I think that's that for Captain America: Civil War news. Man, I'm so excited.
Yeah, let's talk about the top story of the week that I thought was the top. I don't know if you agree with me that I think it was the biggest one or the coolest one going right now. So there's a rumor going around, just a rumor that we wanted to talk about because there's a commentary to be said about this.
Yeah.
Is that Marvel is working on a new Blade movie starring the daughter of Blade, which would be based around the upcoming comic that I think looks really cool coming out, where she's this girl in some city or whatever. She's like 16, and she's a popular girl, and then realizes she has always felt like she had some kind of greater purpose or whatever, and then she discovers she's Blade's daughter, and she becomes a vampire hunter. It's basically Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would love to see that as a movie. I want to know exactly, because I didn't really talk to you much about it this week. What do you think of seeing a Blade's daughter Marvel movie?
Okay, just starting off, seeing more Blade, as long as Wesley Snipes is not attached, I think is a good idea.
People want to see Wesley Snipes.
Those movies were a disaster.
That is a rumor, though, is that he would be her father, but he'd be more of like the like the mentor, like the Bruce Wayne and Batman Begins type role, because he's older now, and she would be.
I'd be surprised if he would even take that role.
Right? He's just getting back into acting now.
That's true, but just because he's one of those, he needs to be the lead in the movie. That's like his personality, for or at least like I've said, from reading all of this production stuff, especially from, God, what is his name? Patton Oswalt, who worked with him on Blade 2, I think.
Did he?
Yeah,
I never saw the Blade movies.
I don't remember. It was either Blade 2 or Blade 3. But Patton Oswalt was in one of them, and he was on a podcast, and they were talking about like his involvement in it, and he had like a bunch of horror stories to tell about Wesley Snipes.
Wow.
So I think it's a great idea because we get hopefully if this is true, we get a female lead character, and then hopefully a person of color,
female or lead character too, which Marvel desperately needs both.
They need diversity.
And I'm a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
So this premise,
I think this wouldn't work as a movie, though.
You don't think it would work?
I think this would work really well as a Netflix TV series, rated TVMA. Yeah. Because Blade, tons of swearing, tons of really
that was the movies.
Really
though. Is he really
violence.
like that in the comics too? I've never really read Blade.
I think it's like an MA comic. Okay. If I remember correctly, it's a whatever it is, 17, whatever. I can't remember how they do ratings for comics.
I don't know either.
At least from what I I think that's what it is. It could also make, I don't know. The only thing is like, how are they going to work this into the greater Marvel universe? We have Doctor Strange coming, so we can explain like magic and some supernatural stuff. But how do you explain vampires in the MCU
Okay,
when they haven't existed?
That's the
up
thing
until
is
this point?
too is what I've people be like, how would this fit into the Marvel universe? I'm like, you could make it fit easily. Honestly, we've got talking raccoons, talking trees, alien invasions and stuff, Norse gods. Vampires doesn't seem that far fetched to me.
Yeah, but then you have to explain why this stuff hasn't. Why?
It's been underground. They
Yeah,
keep
I
it
guess
secret.
it's true.
It's
That
not mainstream.
what is so with Daredevil, we had the interaction of he's in New York. We can see the ramifications of the MCU on his location in New York. Eventually, we'll probably see some sort of crossover from some character, either him in the MCU or him in another show or something like, you know what I mean? There's going to be some crossover
Well,
to
the
explain.
Defenders are going to cross
Yeah.
over.
But I mean, like, into stuff that exists outside of just that Defenders small universe inside New York. There has to be some point where there's more of a crossover, or we see ramifications of Daredevil in the MCU or something like that. Like,
So-
there's going to be some sort of crossover. So how does that work with this? How do we, like, are we going to have vampires in, like, Infinity War
Well,
Part
okay,
1
what
and
I was
2?
going to ask you is, does it need to? Does it need to cross over like that? Because you could have Blade, maybe put like little Easter eggs that it is in the same place, like Daredevil.
Yeah.
Little Easter eggs that show like this is in the same world, but I mean, it doesn't have to cross over with the other Avenger stuff going on. It could be like, yes, this story takes place in that. Because there's a lot of like that in the comics. Yes, the story takes place in this universe, but it's very self-contained story.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't spread like Avengers is huge, so it spreads throughout everything. But Blade could be this small little pocket where it doesn't really go beyond its little zone. It doesn't spread into.
I think this is a great idea. Like I said, I think it would work really well for like an MA Netflix show within the Defenders universe. I don't think it would work in the greater MCU. Like I don't think they can release a movie at this point that is truly standalone.
Right.
I just don't think that's possible for them
It
because
just won't
even
have, it won't
Guardians,
have the momentum.
yeah, because even Guardians of the Galaxy,
It's
like we
pretty
see Thanos,
standalone, but
we see
we have the
the
connection with
Collector,
Thanos
and then we know that in Infinity Wars Part 1 or 2, almost without a doubt, that there's going to be some sort of like they're going to be in the same.
This comic hasn't come out yet. It's been delayed. It was supposed to I think come out already, but it's going to come out later.
Well, I know
this fall or
they
something.
delayed a lot of the comics
Yeah.
because Secret Wars is running.
Yeah,
an extra
that was
issue.
something we could have talked about.
Yeah.
But we couldn't gotten that much into,
No, yeah, they're running an extra issue.
which is fine. I like
I
Secret
think
Wars.
it's going until December now, or December or November.
Something like that.
And then, but
issue
but
5 just came
October,
out,
yeah,
so
but
there's still
October
4 more.
1st is still the start of the all new, all different post Secret Wars
That's gonna get confusing.
Avenger. I know, it's like, why wouldn't you just? I
Just
would
wait.
Yeah,
Just wait.
push up the Secret Wars issues, like scrunch them down, especially if you have them ready at this point, their releases, so that the October 1st still makes sense, or push those back. Because it's going to be weird if we have, here's where everything is now, and you still haven't seen the end of Secret Wars, so you're basically ruining the end of Secret Wars for you.
I've been reading a lot of the Secret Wars tie-ins, and I'm actually really enjoying them. I just read the first 3 issues of the new Civil War Secret Wars tie-in, which you might actually really like.
I'm sure I
it's
would.
It's very different. It's basically what it is what if the Civil War kept going and going for like 6 years after it ended in the comics? What if it kept going on? And so it's really cool. But based off of just the cover alone of this new Blade series, I'm hooked. You got me with the colors. You got me with the female main character, which I love because, like I said, I'm a big fan of Buffy. I would like to see this. I'm definitely picking up this comic. This is definitely going to be on my pull list. But I would love to see this as either a movie or a TV series. I would not be let down if I got one or the other.
Yeah, I just think it would make more sense, and
It'd be a
have
really cool
potentially
cheap
larger,
movie you could do, though.
a really good what?
Cheap movie. Like the budget would not have to be big at all for this movie. If you could do it on a TV budget, you can do it for a movie. Pretty
Yeah,
easy.
I'm just like I said. I don't think Marvel can at this point can release a movie
That's
that is
not
standalone, like
connected
that
to
is
the
not
larger
connected.
universe.
And I just don't know how this would work within the like work within the cinematic universe. I think it could work within the TV universe because I think with especially with like Agents of Shield, I think we're gonna start getting weirder and weirder as this series goes on. Like the Inhuman stuff is gonna get bizarre, and we might eventually see stuff like supernatural stuff show up if they're going to be introducing it with Doctor Strange and stuff. Because as we've seen with like Cap 2, we saw like the huge ramifications it had on Agents of Shield and how it changed everything. I think that's going to continue to happen with Civil War,
It's gonna have
with
to.
Doctor Strange.
What if I was just thinking too? What if the explanation for vampires is a scientific one, like the same thing with the Thor and the Asgardians, where they're just basically like aliens? What if the vampires are like it's like a weird kind of scientific mutation kind of weird thing?
They could do it. I just
They're not the living dead. They're like
yeah,
changed humans that are
or
vampires.
or they can't use this word necessarily, but like they're a mutation of the human gene,
Right, that is passed down from like a bite or an attack, or basically it's vampires minus the magic-y stuff. They keep all the same traits as vampires, allergic to sunlight, all that stuff. It's just instead of magic, it's
I think that could work,
it's
but
pseudoscience.
I still think it would. I think it would work better, especially because they want to have these characters cross over in the Defenders universe as is. Like we've heard from multiple people reports that like they want Ghost Rider and like these other people to show up in the Defender universe. This could really make sense within the like Netflix portion of MCU. In this way, there's not going to be mainstream fans that are like, what the fuck? Why are there vampires? It's going to be like the hardcore people that really give a shit about it anyways.
True.
Or they're going to pull some mainstream people in who watched Daredevil.
I would love to see this as a TV series because after finishing Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I want more.
Well, imagine like
it could
Daredevil,
be-
instead of a 2-hour movie, you got a 13-hour movie basically.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And it was like, I think they could do that on a budget comparable to Daredevil, maybe even less, and offer a great story. Then maybe they can tie in with, like I said, the characters from Defenders universe, or even
Punisher,
or
stuff
like
that.
or like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's in New York. I don't know. It's Spider-Man and
He wouldn't be on TV ever.
I don't know.
He wouldn't.
He's not
He's
that
too
big
big
of
of a character.
But Tom Holland is not a big star. They could
He's
afford
gonna
to do
be.
it.
He's gonna be in some big pictures coming up.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's too big of a character for them to put on the small screen.
I don't know. I mean, it would make sense because Blade and Spider-Man have crossovers in the comics.
Spider-Man has crossovers with everybody though in the comics.
And I think it would be a great idea for them. Just imagine if even half an episode, it's vampires at his high school and he has to deal. You know what I mean? Like you could get into funny shit like that because they want Spider-Man. They said the Spider-Man movie that's coming out has like a John Hughes like high school
Basically,
movie
the
film.
possibilities are endless in what they could do. And I think we're both in agreement. We would like to see this in some form or another. Whether, like, even if say they do decide to go with a movie, you're not going to be upset about it.
No, I'm not going to be upset.
You just don't think it's the right move, but if they did it, you'd be like, okay, cool.
They could do it really well. I don't know if that's...
You don't see how it would actually.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it at this point.
And I just want to see it in some form or another.
But who knows? And this could be years down the line. This could be post Doctor Strange, where we have explanations for this weird shit that's going on, the magic.
They're going to need more characters after all these other contracts end.
Yeah.
So, I think that's it for the news this week, and we'll get into the Scott's topic, or the Scott's thoughts this week. I said the name of my own segment wrong. Anyway, I don't have anything written down. I don't know. I'm creating my phone. For Scott's thoughts this week, I wanted to talk about, because it was on my mind, movies that we know are upcoming, future Marvel, video game, even video game. I'm bringing that into this too. DC, whatever, nerdy type movies that people of with our interest would be interested in seeing, that we don't want to see or don't think that'd be made, or we just simply don't give a shit about. So, I'll start first with one movie that, well, I know we both were in agreement. We've said on the show before, we don't give a single flying fuck about Gambit and don't even think that movie should be made or deserves to be made.
It's not even like I don't... I'm indifferent about the character. You put him in the X-Men movies.
We
fine.
don't think a movie.
He doesn't
like
need a
a
standalone.
solo movie
No,
makes
yeah.
any sense.
He doesn't need a standalone.
He works better with the group. But I was thinking today or this past week because I was listening to something at work, and I was thinking about Aquaman movie, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to see an Aquaman movie. I have zero interest in it. Whether it's King of Atlantis, whatever. I think Aquaman should be more of like a Justice League, like their Hulk, where he's only in the Justice League movies and he's not in standalone. Because I honestly don't care about Aquaman, and I don't care about seeing an Aquaman movie.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work for them, especially because they're struggling with Superman, who is arguably the most well-known superhero
He's
of all time.
the original superhero.
Yeah.
And they're struggling with him.
Yeah.
How the fuck
So
are you gonna do Aquaman?
Mm-hmm.
And every Aquaman story is always the same. It's always his brother trying to get the throne and him not.
See, and I'm not even familiar with any Aquaman storylines because it's a
the
character
same
that
one.
just doesn't resonate with me.
No.
It's, I mean, of the
I can connect more with Thor than I can with Aquaman.
yeah, and I still am not a big fan of the Thor comics.
I'm not either. Or the movies. I'm not a big fan of Thor.
No, yeah, the movies haven't been fantastic, but they've been okay. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how that would work for them. As bad as it sounds, I love DC characters, and a lot of the DC comic runs have been really good up until recently. I don't think a lot of them.
I still don't like the New 52.
No,
it's been 4 years and I still don't
but
like it.
I think a lot of the DC movies I'm worried about and don't really care to see. The only one of note is Suicide Squad. I want to see that. They have my
Green
interest.
Lantern Corps I really want to see too because
I just don't have any.
I want to see them with another shot. With
I
Green
just
Lantern.
don't have any faith. I mean, DC has just the only good DC series to come out, like movies, is the Christopher Nolan movies, and that's because it might as well have been Batman.
You've got the original Superman; they were good at their time. For our generation, we're kind of like, oh, that's not really Superman, whatever. It's kind of weird.
But like the Christopher Nolan Batman could have just
it
been
could've been
anybody
any
else.
character.
Yeah,
It
it could have
could've
not been Batman. The
it's
bad
only
guys could have
Batman
been.
by name.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you're kind of with me, Aquaman.
Yeah,
No,
Aquaman.
don't really care.
Not really interested in.
I'm not really interested in the Cyborg movie either, because
Has that been
Cyborg's in
confirmed?
the lineup.
Okay.
Yeah.
God,
Well,
man.
because that's another topic I wanted to say for another Scott's thoughts is I'm not really a big fan of making Cyborg a Justice League founding member character because I thought Cyborg works better with the Teen Titans.
Yeah,
And,
he fits with them
I mean,
really well.
yes, I understand wanting to bring in a person of color as Justice League, totally for that, but they should have created maybe a new character altogether or used someone else, maybe another female character too, because they only have Wonder Woman. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I feel like the Cyborg was like, they just picked a random character out of a hat, and just.
Well, I don't think it was random. I think.
I'm just not really. Okay. I've said it before too. It's been 4 years, and I'm still not a big fan of the New 52.
Yeah. But I don't think it was. I don't think they randomly picked. I think they picked Cyborg for a specific reason. They wanted somebody like the tech person. They wanted that role filled, and that's why they're bringing Cyborg forward as part of the Justice League.
But he was always a Teen Titan. He's still ingrained in most people as a Teen Titan.
Yeah, but I know you don't like them, but in the New 52, he's been taking on more of a role as a Justice League member. You know what I mean? That is his role, not a Teen Titan. He kind of grew up. He left the kids' table, so to speak.
Well, they made him a founding member of the Justice League. He's never part of the Titans now in this universe. Yeah. His origin.
See, that's weird.
His
It would make more
origin-
sense.
His origin is in the Justice League.
It would make more sense than to keep the story of he was part of
The Titans.
Teen Titans, and then moved
graduated
up.
to the
Yeah.
upper class. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, but I would have liked that more too. Making him a founding member just seemed.
And why does he need to be a founding member? Why does it matter who is a founding member? Because all that matters is what's going on right now.
But anyway, let's get back to talking about movies we don't give a shit about.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the movies
what
coming up.
I told you about the other day too is the upcoming Assassin's Creed movie.
Oh yeah.
The only thing that has my interest in that is Fassbender and Cotillard. I think there's some other good cast members, but I don't care about Assassin's Creed. And I don't know if it's because I'm not a video gamer. I I had no, like the whole story of Assassin's Creed had never been of any interest to me.
See, I was a fan of Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. 1 was not good, like mechanically, like technically it wasn't good, but it was a good idea. And then 2 was fantastic. And it had this really interesting storyline going forwards. And then all of a sudden they were just like, with 3, it was like, nope, fuck it. We're leaving that storyline behind. And like with all the games after that, it's just, so it started out as you're in the future. You're being like tested on through your DNA, you're going back into the past to like your family members, and you're living through their lives, and you find out that like your ancient relative was part of this assassin order, and then there's like this other kind of like Illuminati thing going on, so like that they're combating. There's two sides, and it's like the storyline is really interesting because you're in the future and you're finding out all this stuff about the past, and then people are trying to kill you in the future, and you're also doing all this stuff in the past to find out more information and like whatever. And it's like the idea is a really good idea, and then they just kind of abandoned it. So it's like I don't know what they're gonna do going forward. Like who is Fassbender gonna play? Which assassin has it been?
Yeah, they said when they
Is
released
it
the picture
Ezio?
this week. No, it's a whole different character.
So it's a
whole new character, whole new story. His name is Caleb Lynch.
Because with Assassin's Creed 4, or no, yeah, with Assassin's Creed
Black Flag.
Black Flag.
Whatever.
With Assassin's Creed 4, they changed it to where now it's basically a parody of working at Ubisoft's game studio, where you were a developer working at this game studio developing an AR, based off of that, and then you're digging in between levels every once in a while. You get to come out into the modern age, and you're like hacking into people's computers and trying to find out information because you realize that these are like factual events that happened and stuff like that.
Well, but no, they said for this new Assassin's Creed movie, it is going to be the same concept as like the first two, where he goes, it's a person from the future. He uses the gene whatever to relive the events of this ancestor, except it's going to be based off a whole different character and everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just not interested in it. I don't care about it.
It just it's interesting for a video game. I don't know how it would work for a movie. It's almost like
It's a lot of video games.
It's almost like Matrix, where
kinda
you go into the game and you have like almost these superhero powers, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just not. Okay, so I've shared two of the ones.
God, I don't even know if I can. And this might give me a lot of hate. As far as a video game that I just have no interest in at all is Halo 5. So I was a big
I never played Halo. So
I was a big Halo fan from basically 1 through Reach. So 1, 2, 3 ODST and then Reach. The Bungie run was fantastic. I bought 4 and I played it, and there was a lot of bugs with the game. So basically Bungie left after 3, but they had 2 more games on their contract, so they made ODST, which was you playing from like a different perspective. You were playing as an ODST soldier instead of Master Chief, and then Halo Reach, which was a prequel to Halo 1, and you were playing from a different Spartan's perspective, and you were seeing like as the aliens invaded, as this all was unraveling. And then Halo 4 was made by the new developer of the Halo series, because Microsoft retained the IP rights. And there was a lot of people from Bungie that stayed to make Halo 4, but then there was a lot of new people from within Microsoft and other companies. And I think they're 343 Studios, but it was a terrible storyline. They introduced a bunch of new mechanics that sucked, and there was a bunch of bugs with the game.
So this isn't a movie. You're talking about you're not excited for the next Halo game.
Yeah, I'm not excited for the next Halo game because the fourth one burned me.
Yeah, let's go into other stuff too that we're just not excited.
Yeah, I can't think of any movies.
Because we could just talk forever of like how we're so excited for this, so excited for that. I thought it would be interesting to be like, what are we not excited for?
And this is something that a lot of people are really excited for is Halo 5. I didn't really play much of the multiplayer for Halo 4, so I don't really know any of the changes that they've made there, but the storyline was like I said, it was garbage. And there was one level that I kept getting stuck at because the game wouldn't load. Like, it's like you have to kill this thing, and the game just wouldn't load the enemy that I had to kill. and I had to delete and restart the campaign 4 different times, and I got stuck at that part, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm done. I'm never playing another Halo game again."
Return the game.
Yeah.
My roommate Sam, that's what he does is he goes and he buys a game, tries to beat it, and as you know, like the time limit he has until he can return it, takes it back to GameStop and exchanges it for another game. Does that, plays it until he does whatever with it, takes it back, returns, and then exchanges it for another game until he gets a game that he wants to keep. But so he'll just have like that same like $60 credit going for more and more games, and they'd be like, he'll be like he got one game, or I think it was like Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, and then he was like, yeah, I don't really want to. He beat it, and then he's like, all right, and then I think he exchanged it for like Batman Arkham Knight or something, or and then he's like, well, okay, I beat Arkham Knight, well, okay, now I'm gonna go exchange for this one, and I just thought that was kind of weird that he does that.
Well, a lot of people do that stuff, or they'll buy it, beat it, trade it in, buy another game. You know.
Yeah, he just exchanged it, be like, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Or whatever he says. I don't know. He gets away with that crap.
Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't think of any besides the movies that we touched on already. I don't know of any that are coming up that I just don't want to see. But like Halo 5 is a good example of something that I'm burned out on that. Like they burned me so hard with that game. You know, I spent $60 and it was just a pile of shit. And I was like,
you feel like you've been like
it's
scorned by it. Like,
well, especially because like, you know, I'm going into this. You have the prestige of the previous developer who's like held up on this pedestal, and this new company comes in, and then not to mention since then they've done re-releases of Halo 1, 2, 3, and I think Halo 4 is on that too. The same company.
Oh yeah, you can get those all on 360 now.
Yeah, you can get them all on Xbox One now. Yeah. And there was a bunch of issues with that. People couldn't connect to the servers. People couldn't get multiplayer matches. It was just like a huge issue for like 7-8 months after the game came out, after the re-release came out. And it's like, if this is what we have to look forward to for Halo 5, then I'm not even remotely going to touch it. It's like, I just don't understand. But yeah, otherwise,
you know what's kind of sad is like a lot of the movies that we're not looking forward to are DC movies.
And that's what sucks is, like I said, I'm a really big fan of DC characters and of a lot of the DC runs. Not necessarily the newer ones. A lot of those I just not a big fan of. But
you know, another thing too is something like you said you're burnt out on kind of too is I'm kind of done with the Batman movies. I'm really excited for Ben Affleck's Batman, but like I'm just burnt out on Batman in general. That's why I haven't watched Arrow before. Now that it's kind of changing, I might watch it now. But to me, I was like, oh, it's just Batman, except it's Green Arrow.
Yeah, I'm sick of gritty superhero movies.
I'm just tired of fucking Batman. Everyone's just sorry. You know what, Batman lovers? It's fine. Bring the hate. I don't care. I don't hate Batman. I'm just tired of Batman. It's like Batman this, Batman that. We got Batman video games, Batman movies. I had 1,000 Batman movies. You know, Batman all over the place. It's like, God damn it. It's just like, DC, I know he's your biggest character, but yeah, they've just been pimping him so hard.
Yeah, same could be said for Spider-Man though.
That's true too.
Because I'm excited to see how, because Marvel now has
I think the only reason I'm not burned out on Spider-Man is I haven't had a really good Spider-Man movie or TV show in a long time.
Yeah.
Where Batman movies and stuff have been good, it's just been a lot of it where I'm just like, okay, I'm sick of it. Spider-Man, I'm willing to see something new because I haven't been fulfilled with Spider-Man yet.
Yeah, I think the reason why I'm not burnt out on, or like I kind of am burnt out of the Spider-Man, but the reason why I'm still excited to see this new movie is because Marvel finally has the rights, and
it's not
I think
Sony
they're gonna get it right. I think that they're gonna pay justice to the character. You know,
there's something I saw today that said Andrew Garfield wanted Marvel to get the rights back to Spider-Man.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He's a Spider-Man fan. He wanted to be like.
I thought he was a great Spider-Man. I think those movies were bad not because of him, but because of bad writing and bad directing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah. I mean,
bad writing.
Yeah, but as a director, you're supposed to take the writing and shape it into not turds.
Yeah.
But the same could be said for Man of Steel. I mean, the actors were fine. A lot of
The casting,
casting.
every
Yeah, that's
cast
what I should say. The casting
except
was
for
fine.
Amy Adams and Lois Lane, I didn't really see, but
Whatever.
that's beside the
She's a
point.
great actress. She
She's a
could
great
pull it
actress.
off.
I just
But-
didn't see her as that character, but it worked fine. It was the movie overall that
It
I
was
didn't
just
enjoy.
it was the writing was
Mostly the writing.
bad, and the director didn't shape it into what it should have been.
So dark. So sick. Like you said, sick of this dark, gritty.
Yeah,
Like for some characters, it works. Like a Blade movie and Daredevil. Yeah,
yeah, but Blade is dark, but it's also really fucking funny. Like he's really vulgar, and he's got like pithy one-liners.
you have to find like good balance.
It's like with Deadpool. Like Deadpool is gonna be really dark in the sense that he's like just straight up fucking murdering a bunch of people.
right.
But it's
sick
gonna
of
be super
the
funny.
brooding, the sad
Yeah,
brooding.
where it's like
because was Daredevil that broody? I never really picked on it. I looked at Daredevil as more of like a martial arts crime.
it kind of got broody, but he had
his lighthearted
we had
moments.
we had
Matt
Foggy.
Murdock was more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the comedic relief. You had to break up the, oh, everything's so dark and sad.
Yeah.
I'm so sad, so very, very sad. It's like, God damn. That's why I want a Howard the Duck movie.
Yeah, that'd be fucking great. Oh man, have you seen the '80s Howard the Duck movie?
No.
You should watch it.
But I mean, like
You should
you
watch
could
it.
do it. It'd be
No,
like
I know it, but
it'd be-
you should watch it
if
just
you-
because it's '80s.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
know.
pure
I've seen
'80s
enough of
gold.
it. If you did like a new Howard the Duck movie, basically it would be like a PG-13 version of Ted, with a better character and no Seth MacFarlane, so it would be good.
You should definitely watch the '80s Howard Duck movie because
I've
that
seen
was
enough
that
of
was
it. I
rated
don't
like
need to see
PG, and that is like a hard R Howard the Duck movie.
Howard the Duck has been R.
Yeah.
In the comics, the Howard the Duck Max and stuff.
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, oh, fuck, this is really weird.
Yeah, yeah, but
It's a lot of bestiality.
yep. Same with the movie. Same with the movie.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Unless there's anything else you're not
No.
excited for.
No, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I'm not excited for, but there's not. Like, the reason why I brought up Halo 5 specifically is it's something that I know a lot of people are excited for, but
That
I
you're
have
not.
reasons that I'm not excited for it. Just like with Batman v Superman, I'm I'm just wary of that. But, like, I hope that they prove me wrong, and I hope that it's a great movie.
They've only had one movie, so I can't write them off yet. You know.
But, yeah. So I think,
All right. So I guess that's it
Yeah.
for this week. We covered quite a bit. Let us know what you think about the topics we talked about today. What do you think about Star Wars? Are you going to buy a ton of action figures on Friday like I am? What are your thoughts on Captain America Civil War? Are you excited? You probably are. Do you think what do you think thoughts on the teams? Any speculation you might have? Do you want to see Blade as a movie or TV show with his daughter? Not. I don't care about Blade himself. Let's talk about would you want to see it with his daughter? Are you a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Do you think this
yes.
new Blade sounds a lot like Buffy the Vampire Slayer? What are some things that you're not looking forward to? Are there any movies that you like? You're like, yeah, that Wonder Woman movie, I don't give a shit. They could just not make it. I don't care, or whatever. Let us know in the comments. And if you want to let us know on Twitter, you can tweet us. You can follow me on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram at ScottyBoy, SCOTTYBWO4Ys. You can see it right there on the thing.
I was going to point to it, and then I
But
realized
there's
there's
no video.
camera.
So Matt,
You can follow me on Twitter and most of the internet at Hagnerd, HAGNERD. You can follow us on Twitter at Fuzzy Loaf. You can find us on YouTube if you found us through iTunes. It should be up tomorrow-ish.
on iTunes?
Yeah. I believe I got the email that it's approved. I just have to upload the old episodes and stuff.
Cool.
So you should be able to find us. Fuzzy Loaf Podcast.
Yeah, so
Just to
comment
make
on
it easier.
iTunes too if you're listening
Yeah.
on there. Rate us. Be completely honest. Tell us how dumb we are. Tell us, I'm totally fine with internet hate. So if you think my opinion on how I hate Man of Steel is dumb, like this one dude on Tumblr called me a fucking idiot for it, bring it on because I relish in that. So just do it. Tell me how stupid my opinion's wrong. I want to hear it for sure.
I think that's that.
I think that's it. So, smell you later, kids.